This is the best dark fantasy manga I've ever read. Now, is it Berserk? No, I don't think he's gonna say it's Berserk. I think that's the best dark fantasy one I've read, but it's the only manga I've read. So, and I haven't read that far into it. I think I'm like, I don't know, about halfway through the big volume or something. I don't know, but we're gonna see. I don't know. You got a lot of ground to cover to beat Berserk. Let's be honest.
Tower Dungeon. So many.
Wait. Sufferance is the guy who made this. There we go. I've read his name.
Of you have asked me to read this manga. It has been the most requested, the most frequent comment that I have seen for months now. I knew nothing about this story. I didn't know who the author was. So I was pleasantly surprised when I opened up the first chapter, started reading it, and initially got hit with the utmost craziest nostalgia you could imagine. Tower Dungeon is the brand new work by Nihei Tsutomu. If that name does not sound familiar, maybe some of his most reputable works do. Blame, Abara, Knights of Sidonia, and a plethora of others.
I don't know what any of those are. Yeah, I know you guys are gonna murder me, but I don't know what any of those fucking things are. Do they have anime? If they have an anime, I might have seen them. We might have a chance that I have an opportunity that I might watch the anime one day. Let me know in the comments below. Like my stream, because I had the best penis and clitoris jokes you've ever heard. His head kind of looks like a penis, though, in like a really, like, penises can look nice, I guess, if you put the right lighting on them. I mean, I have to work really hard to get the right lighting on mine, but I mean, kind of. I have no idea who this dude is or seen anything he's ever made.
This man is arguably one of the greatest dark sci-fi, dark fantasy authors in the industry, and there's a ton of different reasons. The way that he is able to capture his worlds artistically is some of the most impressive I have seen.
I mean, that is really gorgeous, dude. I'm like dripping in my pants right now, dude. Ben Shapiro was wrong. Women can get wet, and also this guy right here, I can get really wet and wild.
Scene, the weight of his panel work, the intricacies of his design.
I mean, this is fucking gorgeous. I'm like jizz falconed up right now. That kind of, I know this is part of something and she's not carrying it, or maybe she is carrying it. It reminds me of Gungrave.
The liveliness that he brings to the page, it feels intoxicating to be absorbed into his work. He has a very interesting style of storytelling, something that isn't naturally comfortable. A lot of his work is up to interpretation, very low on the dialogue spectrum. However, through recent years and his more recent series, that paradigm has shifted a lot. There is more
what is this called? Knights of Sidonia. I'm gonna look this up right now, see if it has an anime. Watch Knights of Sidonia on Crunchyroll. Is it dubbed? Okay. Ooh, it is dubbed. Oh, but it's CG, bro. Fucking CG. Damn it. I know it's CG, but if it's good CG, let me know in the comments below and I'll watch it, but I don't know. That looks kind of ass. I really would have rather had it not be CG. That's trash, bro.
Dialogue, more characterization, more conversations to be had now. While it loses a lot of the charm and the originality that Nihei used to provide, it does open a new doorway for him, a new platform to elevate his stories in different aspects that maybe is refreshing for him. Tower Dungeon is a beautiful blend of both, something that still captures the essence of his worlds, his artistic flair, the weight and power behind his artistic choices, mixed with a very quirky, eccentric, beautiful writing style. I was pleasantly surprised going into Tower Dungeon because it felt so familiar, and I really couldn't put my finger on where I've read a story like this before. And
I'm getting lost in this guy's voice. He's like slowly talking about manga to me while also trying to undress me and get at my cock. It's like wild, and he's just putting random memes up on screen. It's just like I'm getting like enveloped into his dialogue. His editing's not incredible. His his story is interesting so far, and I keep getting lost because it's just like his droning monologue is so good that I'm just kind of melting here in my chair, turning into a giant puddle of bones and AIDS.
Then it hit me like a truck. Tatsuki Fujimoto, the author of Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man, is heavily inspired and influenced.
Dude, it's Fire Punch because I love Chainsaw Man. Ooh, Fire Punch anime. Let's see. Ooh. No, it hasn't. Damn it, I love Chainsaw Man. I'm waiting for Chainsaw Man 2 if we're ever gonna get a second season of that. I have a Chainsaw Man action figure over on like my entertainment stand. I love Chainsaw Man. It's one of my favorites.
By Nihei's work. The design of Pochita, for example, is influenced by Abara. They look incredibly similar, but what actually hit me were the characters, how they act, how they talk to each other, how quippy and quirky and unorthodox they tend to be. Fujimoto is brilliant at doing this, and Nihei is now stepping into that exact same realm. So Tower Dungeon in a lot of ways shares big similarities with Chainsaw Man, with Fujimoto, while as an author being its predecessor. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it feels very comforting to come full circle with Nihei and Tatsuki Fujimoto, and I think if you enjoy Fujimoto's works, you'll have a fun time with Tower Dungeon.
Well, and I really want to watch the sci-fi one, Knights of anyway, whatever that Knights one is. I want to give it a shot, but the CG, like, I used to not mind CG animation until I watched the Berserk anime, and I wanted to drill nails through my eyeballs. I wanted to take sandpaper, grind it, just pull off each little speck, and then drop it into my eyes, and then just blink really fast. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to shove a sounding rod with little spikes up my little tube where a pee comes out, because I hated it so much.
Not obviously identical. There's a lot of love and passion shared between these two authors that feel familiar, and I like that a lot. Not only do I want to talk about my experience with Tower Dungeon, I want to talk about what the story is about without giving too much away, which shouldn't be all too difficult. Tower Dungeon is a dark fantasy manga, and it's very isolated. It's small in scale and design. We are not adventuring to massive multiple kingdoms or cities or continents. We're in one place with one kingdom and one ominous tower. Now this tower is very, very big. A lot of flaws and a lot of weirdness is kept within it. Creatures and abominations and dragons and all of these weird, deathly, hollow individuals. Nothing ever leaves this tower, but it offers up an opportunity for soldiers, for adventurers, for bandits, whoever to come in and explore this tower to find whatever goods could be kept within it. For the story, unfortunately, someone that is very prominent and very powerful related to the king is kidnapped, and they are kept at the top of that tower. So
it's like a twist of like a Rapunzel or any of those old fairy tale stories. So they're ascending the tower to like become the next king. I like this. I like the idea of, I really like what Japan has done with the Western fantasy story and kind of taking it in a darker direction. I mean, yeah, dark fantasy always existed on this, in the Western world, but I like that they're kind of visualizing it in a degree that the West has just kind of given up on. I mean, when you look at our animation and shit over here, it's getting kind of mid. I mean, I just saw recently that Spider-Man shit that was coming out, and that animation literally was just AIDS on toast. It was AIDS on toast being carried by a cum falcon, and I will not be watching that Spider-Man cartoon that's coming out from Disney. It looks fucking atrocious. It's like, dude, you already made 2 great animated Spider-Man movies. What the fuck are you doing, dog? What are we doing here? Why are we wasting time with this garbage animation? So I just see that it's like, it would be cool to have like real powerful animation again. I mean, the closest I've seen is like Creature Commandos, and then I look over at Japan, what they're doing with the Western RPG, and I'm like, wow, the West can't, or not Western RPG, with the Western fantasy, and I'm like, wow, dude, look at that. The Japanese are doing Western fantasy better than the West. How the fuck did that happen? Well, we've been lazy over here. So, and I like the idea of like ascending a tower and it getting worse and harder as it goes. It's one of the reasons why I'm so excited for Twisted Tower, the game, to come out. I just like the ideas. As I learn more about this this creepy ass amusement park, I'm going up this tower and seeing more and more horrors. I think that's amazing. I think that's really exciting. I also like that Bruce Lee movie where he's ascending the tower and he fights Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's a really cool movie. I like that idea that you're ascending to a greater level and it's all condensed in this horrific tower. I mean, there is that what is it? I mean, it's way grander scale, but there is that tower show on Crunchyroll that I really like. The first season's way better than the second. The second's not bad, but it's like Tower of God or something. I don't know. But this first season's animation was fucking amazing. The second one goes to like basic ass animation, which is kind of jarring, but it's still a good show. And they're ascending this tower to become like the all powerful or whatever. And the one kid is like super powerful. I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. I think that show slaps so much clit, and every time I see a new episode for it, I watch it.
The full power of this nation, even a reward is offered that whoever makes it up the top and retrieves this VIP will potentially become the next king. They will have everything they would ever want. So it sets forth this massive enclave of people of all different shapes and sizes, from all different locations, from all different walks of life, to try and save this person. A lot of people die. A lot of people do not make it far. And our story follows a young farmland boy known as Yuva. But you see, Yuva is a little bit different. This is a world of fantasy and magic and dragon hybrid people that are very powerful, but they're rare. They're exclusive.
Well, I mean, it's hard to fit a dragon dick inside of a vagina, so you have to have a very special woman to be able to swallow that load with her pussy.
Yuva has no experience being a fighter. He has no experience exploring. He is just humble, simple country person.
Bro, he's like that, oh, fuck, that Country Boy Can't Survive, by Hank Williams Jr. He's like, I don't know how to song, a country boy can survive. Cause he can run a trout line, he can dynamite ride, a country boy can't survive. Yeah, dude, that's what this guy's got. He's just blaring Hank Williams in his hat, and he's just fucking climbing like an absolute Giga Chad.
Protect and serve his family and to help out his town, he takes up this task. Yuva joins a couple of other people, and this would be his little band. He's not treated all too well, just someone to carry the equipment, but you'll quickly come to notice that he is different. His physicality is through the roof. He is incredibly strong, being able to lift up boulders or jump really high or punch people through walls by accident, but he doesn't realize this. You see, Yuva is really, really dense. So even if he gets into combat, even if he gets into action, he does not know how to wield a sword. But if his emotions start to slowly take over him, he gets caught within the moment, and the person he's fighting is getting thrown through 4 brick walls and outside the tower. Safe to say that Yuva is different. Yuva is strong, and there's a really good reveal and explanation for it. This tower is kind of like its own ecosystem. Each floor represents kind of its own little deathly trap. Sometimes it can be simple, sometimes it can be barren, other times it's filled to the brim with booby traps, creatures, abominations.
I need to watch this, dude. They need to make an anime of this, but don't do it in CG. I will watch the shit out of this. I love dark fantasy, and I don't feel like there's enough good dark fantasy out there. I feel like you look at the success of things like Elden Ring and the Dark Souls series, and there's a hunger for dark fantasy, and I just feel like that hunger is always not getting filled. You're just constantly on rumble mode in your stomach, and it sucks.
It's got a big dragon in there, or an abomination creature that turns people into stone. You don't know what you are going to get. You don't know who you're going to fight. You don't know what creatures are technically good or bad. Even trying to navigate the tower is not a simple task. It reminds me heavily of Dark Souls, not only aesthetically and symbolically, but thematically. Creatures, the designs, the architecture, the navigation, the difficulty of this tower itself in all aspects feels very Dark Souls. And I don't mean to confuse Dark Souls with general dark fantasy, because they are obviously of the same nature. Dark Souls is just dark gothic fantasy, but there's a style to Dark Souls that separates it in terms of its layout.
Absolutely. I think that it takes a lot of inspiration. So what it did was it took the inspiration of dark fantasy from the West, and then Berserk really heightened that and combined it with like an anime setting. And then these developers over in Japan obviously are going to be are influenced by things like Dark Souls, so it takes its own design. I think that this is all Berserk leading to this, leading to that.
It's well designed, the difficulty of...
Because in my opinion, Berserk is the Lord of the Rings of Japan. Like, I mean, that is their fucking great fantasy story. I think nothing will hold up to as good to it as be as long spanning. I think that when Berserk ends, it will be an all-time masterpiece. And not that it's, I mean, the Golden Age arc in and of itself sits as a masterpiece, in my opinion. So, to see that, like, something else might come out of the woodwork and kind of take up that mantle, and eventually maybe we'll get an anime of some sort of cool dark fantasy, that would be fucking primo.
Navigation itself. This feels present in this tower. It's meant to be complicated. It's meant to trick people. It's meant to lure them into the depths and despair away from the easier access all the way to the top. The higher you get, the more difficult it becomes. The bigger the creatures are, the less prepared you are.
I can't put the music on, but we got a video game here. Oh, it's fucking Fortnite. Damn it. I don't ever want to get rid of ads, because sometimes I get an ad for a really cool game and it gets me excited and bricked up to see what the future holds.
Companions could be. The biggest disappointment about Tower Dungeon is its length. It's very short, and I was very disappointed when I got to the end. Just as I was getting into the meat of the narrative and really hooking myself into this world and just feeling everything so nicely, it ends. It stops. I'm caught up. And that is one of the biggest painstaking waits that you can have. Of course, better to wait than to rush something out, or at the risk of the author's health, of course. But the amount of monthly stories I read are far and few between, and only the best of the best, for me, when it comes to monthly manga, stick around. Tower Dungeon, I believe, is a story that I will keep up with, because I am hooked. I am excited to see this story.
Yeah, dude, I want to see that. I can't wait until this gets bigger and it actually gets an anime, and I will watch the shit out of this. I think there is a big hole that needs to be filled, and I love filling holes, but I don't have the abilities to create an anime. I think that dark fantasy is just this huge void that isn't filled very often. You see a lot of isekais and a lot of like regular fantasy, but when it comes to dark fantasy, I think that if I could think down to like incredibly popular ones, it's like Berserk, I guess. I don't really know anything that really holds a level to that. I can't think of anything that really hits. You look up what's like Berserk, right? Claymore. Claymore is another one. Claymore would be up in that thing. So you got Claymore and Berserk. But after that, it's just like you constantly will be trying to find that next little hit, that next little bite. But other than that, you're just constantly hungry.
For its narrative, for its characters, for its reveal and surprises, and while it doesn't seem grand in its approach, the amount of detail going into it already feels long running. This story could be finished in under 3 years, but it could be something that lasts longer. And for monthly stories, length isn't in their favor. 100 chapters could be the equivalent of 10 years. When for something that is commonly weekly is only 2. This is all to say that I like what Tower Dungeon is doing, and I want to see it grow, and I want to see more people engage.
Well, at least it's having monthly issues, because I think Berserk's at like drop 3 chapters a year and then wait 47,000 more years until Berserk ever finishes.
With it. This is by an incredibly talented author, one that has made a name for themselves over the past 30 years. years, continued to improve and refine and experiment because of Tower Dungeon, and continuing to ignite my appreciation for fantasy and dark fantasy and Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Night Rain, etc. This resurgence of love towards fantasy and all of its different aspects is because of Tower Dungeon. Because his art is so identifiable, just viewing it, you can tell that.
I mean, all this shit goes so hard. I said that from the very beginning of the video. There's just so much brilliance to every single one of these pictures.
That's Nihei. There really is a level of enjoyment you get just from viewing it. Like, yeah, typical manga experience, but Nihei's works take that.
Well, here's another thing. I don't know. There was a video I watched a while back where the guy had a fucking trash art video. It was garbage, one of the worst art videos I'd ever seen. But he brought up the art from Claymore, and I think Claymore is a prime example of brilliant art. And you could see the influence of Claymore in this guy. You can see the influence of Berserk. It's like he's taking both of those worlds and just fucking heightening them. Now I don't know who wrote. I can't remember the names of the people who wrote all these things because like I would lose my mind if I remembered the name of everything. I barely remember the names of the popular people that I covered on this channel, but there is something about this feeling like an accompany piece with his art style to how brilliantly made Berserk and Claymore are, because they both have incredible art styles. It really heightens this stuff and puts me to wanting to watch this because I love both of those other things.
To the next level. You look at Blame, you look at Abara, you look at Sidonia, Paroxysm, whatever. They have such a style that feels like a breath of fresh air. Seeing how he visualizes a tower dungeon and these rooms and these creatures and these abominations isn't necessarily anything new, but he does an impeccable job of showing it his way. The scale, the perspective, everything is huge, filled with volume. No space is left empty unless on purpose. Every inch and every line is purposefully and meticulously crafted to a much bigger picture.
Yeah, the memes kind of got a little bit overwhelming in this video, but for the most part, it has me really excited to see what this is about. I've never heard of this. I really like the idea that there's something else other than, because I think Claymore's over. I know that the manga or the anime is they're not making the anime anymore, so I don't actually know how much is left of it, or I haven't fully finished the anime either. So that's one that I'm working on. But Berserk is still going, and I would love there to be another dark fantasy, maybe something that hits more of a popularity, so that if something could blow up with the style of dark fantasy and really hit everyone where they wanted to sink their teeth in because they love Dark Souls, they love this dark fantasy, I think it would springboard into creating a better Berserk that people they'd be wanting to hunt it out. They would be more amped for it than ever before. And some of these companies that are looking at making a new anime, they would look at Berserk and say, if we do this right, we will just be juicing off the tits of money forever, and we love sucking on some titties. That's all I got for you guys today. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.